I'm Jonathan Randall, and welcome to another episode of How You Like Me Now, the podcast I probably should have stopped doing ages ago, but I ain't no quitter. I want to thank everybody for the support they've been offering me. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. People in New York are in a good mood. Spring is in the air, and Trump got indicted. Yay! That's right, Trump got indicted. He's going to be appearing in New York court this week. For those of you that don't know, Trump is under a bunch of investigations, but the reason why he got indicted was because he falsified business documents when he committed fraud to pay hush money to Stormy Daniels, the porn star that he had an affair with. That's right. He wanted her to keep her mouth shut about what happened. He's happy to let everybody know that he grabs pussies, but he didn't want her to tell anyone that he grabbed hers. People are wondering, is he gonna get handcuffed? What's his mugshot gonna look like? Whatever his mugshot looks like, it is gonna be plastered on t-shirts, and someone on Etsy is gonna make a killing. I'm happy that Trump's getting indicted. I am no fan of Donald Trump. I don't understand how anybody likes him. People are saying that this indictment is just political. Of course, he always likes to say that, it's always a witch hunt. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, but not when it comes to Donald Trump. I don't know, for some reason, because he's popular and a lot of the country likes him, they think that he should be above the law and he should get away with committing business fraud or any of the other shady dealings that he's done in his life. I hope that he does go to jail, if not for this, certainly for, causing the insurrection on January 6th, for trying to get in the way of American democracy, spreading lies. But that's what Trump is. He's a liar. I don't understand why people like him so much. It's so crazy to me. Like, what has happened with the world that anyone thinks Trump is like the good option ever? He's like one of the biggest pieces of shit in history. He's just not a good person. And I don't understand like what kind of like wool he pulled over anyone's eyes to make people like him. He is like the shady snake oil salesman that comes into town, and for some reason people like him. Like, people believe that the snake oil salesman's elixirs were going to cure them, and they believe that Donald Trump is going to cure them through his bullshit, through his hatred, because that's what he spreads. He's just a nasty old gross man, and I hope he does go to jail, because I'll tell you, I never watched any of the Trump reality shows, but if there was a reality show of Trump in jail, I would tune in every week. It sounds amazing. I hope Trump goes to jail, and I hope he ends up being somebody's bitch too. So I always talk about dating a little bit on the podcast. I am dating. I am looking for love. If anybody out there is interested in me, slide into my DMs. Haven't had any luck with any of the girls I've gone on recently. Not any connections, not any matches. One thing I really don't like if I go out with a girl, if, on a first date, if we're meeting from the apps and she doesn't reach in her pocket at all. If we're getting a couple drinks, I want her to be like, oh, let me get this round. And I feel very strongly about it, especially when you're meeting women from the apps. I don't feel like the guy should have to pay for anything because of dumb gender norms or whatever. Listen, if there's a woman that in your real life, she's a friend of a friend, she's at work, there's someone that you know for a while that you've been pursuing and she's finally agreed to go out with you, yes, pay for the date. But if there's just some girl that you don't know from a dating app, I know at some point she should offer to pay a round. I think you should pay for one and then she should pay for the next and then you should pay for one. One thing that I like to sometimes do is I'll get to the date a little early, I'll buy my drink, and then when she comes, she could go buy her own drink, and then if I'm enjoying her company, I'll buy the next round. But anyways, for a girl, I went out with this one girl, we had a bunch of drinks, she didn't offer to get one round, and for me, that was just a total deal breaker, even though she was kind of cool. But, it just says sets something up of she has this entitlement of what she wants, and I guess there are women that are old-fashioned like that. I mean, not when it comes to their rights as a woman, but just that men should pay. But anyways, one red flag for me when it comes to women is when their Instagram is only pictures of them. I think it is so gross. And I think it's a huge red flag for me. I mean, how uninteresting does your life have to be that the only thing you want to show people of it is you? It's like, how desperate for attention are you? And that's what I feel when I see a woman whose Instagram is all just pictures of them. I'm like, this woman is desperate for male attention and she needs male approval based on her looks. And that's not someone that I want to get involved with, because probably they're superficial and probably they're not very loyal or trustworthy either if they are so desperate for people to like their images so much. Then I feel like they really can't be trusted. I met a girl at a comedy show this week. She was absolutely stunning. One of the most beautiful women I've seen in a long time. I was talking to her after the show, asking her out, getting her info. I got her Instagram. And then as soon as I looked at the pictures and it was all her, I was just like, hell no, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get involved with somebody who the only thing they want to show about their life is pictures of them. I don't know. They're trying to be like an Instagram model or an influencer or whatever they're trying to be. I just think it's like a character flaw. So if you are involved with the girl and all of her Instagram is just her, get out, okay? If you meet a girl and she gives your Instagram and you're gonna ask her out and her Instagram is all pictures of her, don't ask her out. I promise you, she's not a great woman. She's not a good lady. Anyone whose Instagram is all pictures of just them is lame, in my opinion. Anyways, I want to thank everybody that's supporting my content. I really appreciate it. I had such great shows this weekend. I just love performing stand-up comedy so much. So come see a show. If you're out there, if you want me to come to your city, let me know. If you want to hire me to do a gig, hit me up. I'm down to do comedy for you, and I want to thank everybody who's been supporting my projects. It means a lot to me. So let's get into Israel. I hope everybody had a good April Fool's Day and nobody got fooled too bad. I did, and so did a lot of other people, when this video went viral of what was supposedly a Puma representative saying that they're cutting ties with Israel because Israel's a racist apartheid state. I saw this video. I thought it was real. A lot of other people thought it was real, but then apparently it wasn't real. It was a prank by a pro-Palestinian account or group that was like hoping like this could be something that could happen in the future. I don't really understand why they thought this was an appropriate April Fool's, because I feel like it just got a lot of people's like hopes up that Puma wasn't going to be doing business with Israel anymore. For those that don't know, there is something called the Israel Football Association, and Puma is one of the major sponsors of it, and they have teams in illegal settlements in occupied Palestinian territory, and that's why there are boycotts of Puma. The Israel Football Association includes 6 Israeli teams that are all located in illegal settlements. That means they're settlements that the international community views as illegal. They're on private Palestinian land that is now occupied by Israel and the Israeli military. And, of course, Israeli settlers and these settlements, they contribute to, human rights violations of the Palestinian people and, of course, as ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. And, that's why people want to boycott Puma, and that's why people were so excited when they thought that Puma wasn't going to be doing business with Israel anymore. But unfortunately, that's not true. They are still involved with one another. So boycott Puma. I have Puma stuff. Most of the Puma stuff I have was given to me, and this was also before I knew about them, sponsoring these teams that are part of these illegal settlements. So now if I have anything that's Puma and I have to use it, I've been covering up the Puma logo because I do not want to support Puma as long as they are supporting these illegal settlements. I think that Puma should stop. So go check out BDS on their website. They have more information about boycotting Puma. I guess there's more going on with soccer, or football, in America we call it. But Indonesia will no longer be hosting the U20, it's called, after... I think it's called the U20. It's under 20, football match. There was going to be a big tournament. It was going to be Indonesia. And then the governor of Bali said that Israelis were not welcome there because of the occupation, because of the mistreatment of the Palestinian people. And the soccer people, they withdrew. They don't want to have it there in Indonesia anymore because they weren't gonna because what this governor had to say in Bali. I know people are a little upset in Indonesia because they really love football and they wanted to have this tournament there. But I think there are other people that feel good because there aren't many ways to stand up to the occupation, and this is one of them, to stand up to the fundamental human rights abuses of the Palestinian people. But what the governor of Bali did and what Indonesia is doing by not having it, even though it wasn't their choice, having this tournament over there, showing the world that we care more about the Palestinian people than we do about having this soccer tournament. And I think more people need to do that. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about today? Well, for those that don't know, Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim majority nation. It does not have formal diplomatic relationships with Israel, and it does publicly support the Palestinian cause, which more people should do. More people should support Palestine and Israel ending the occupation and certainly ending the fundamental human rights abuses of the Palestinian people. A lot of football stories going on, because this was another thing I saw which was really disturbing to me, and I haven't seen enough news about it, which disturbed me even more. But apparently Israeli forces stormed into a Palestinian Football League Cup final, and they fired tear gas at the Faisal al-Husseini International Stadium in East Jerusalem. Hundreds of fans were there, including children, and a lot of them had breathing problems because for some reason Israeli forces, they fired tear gas into the stadium during a game, which is absolutely horrible and atrocious. And this is just some of the bullshit that, the Palestinians have to live with on a daily basis while being occupied by Israeli forces. It's really sad and unfortunate. And I can't believe more people aren't talking about it, because I haven't read or seen any reason why the Israeli forces would have went in there and sprayed tear gas other than to just mess with the Palestinians. So some good news, though, that I want to talk about coming out of Israel, coming out of East Jerusalem, is that Israel's Supreme Court has ruled against evicting a Palestinian family from East Jerusalem after they've been battling for over 32 years. So I'm so happy the Supreme Court ruled this way. This is probably one of the reasons why Netanyahu's new extremist right-wing government want to make these judicial reforms, so they could take away this kind of power from the Supreme Court, and they could say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. We are going to evict these Palestinian families. Thankfully, this family is not going to be evicted. But there are racist forces that are promoting the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, such as the Jewish National Fund and one called Elad. They were trying to evict these family from East Jerusalem, and thankfully they failed. And hopefully, organizations like this, they need to be boycotted. They need to be put to an end, because we should not have these racist organizations happening and trying to get Palestinians out of their home. It's just ridiculous, and it's gone on too long. It's just absolutely insane that there are these organizations that exist whose sole purpose is to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. So I'm very happy that that family will not be evicted from their home, as they should not be. Hopefully more families, more Palestinian families, will be able to live in East Jerusalem without the fear of being evicted by Israeli forces. Sadly, we're up to, I think, 86 Palestinian deaths so far this year. Sadly, there's also been, I believe, 15 Israeli deaths, but still, what a discrepancy between the numbers. There was a death, I guess, over the weekend by Al-Aqsa, by one of the entrances, a 26-year-old who recently came back from Romania, where he was studying medicine. He's a doctor. And so Israel is claiming that this guy, this 26-year-old, he got in an altercation with Israeli security over there, and he went to grab their gun. He fired 2 shots, and then they killed him. But according to eyewitnesses that were on the scene, according to the 26-year-old's family, that is not the case. What they're saying has happened is that these security forces, they were harassing a Palestinian woman trying to get into Al-Aqsa to pray, and that this 26-year-old went over there to help the woman, and then they shot her 10 times. So Israel's saying, no, that's not what happened. He reached for the gun. But of course, there's cameras everywhere, but Israel is saying that they have no footage of it. They don't have the footage from the cameras that are all in that area by Al-Aqsa, by the gate, that the entranceway to Al-Aqsa. All those cameras apparently didn't catch any of that footage. The cameras that would have been on any of the Israeli security members, none of them caught any of the footage, which of course is super suspicious and super shady, but this is just more bullshit from Israel, where they commit atrocities, they violate Palestinian human rights, they murder people, and then they make up bullshit excuses, and they don't bring any of the proof, where they say either, oh, well, we can't release the proof because it's a security risk, or, oh, it magically disappeared, we don't have it. There are tons of cameras in that area, but for some reason, no one can see this because they don't want the world to see how these Israeli security forces most likely murdered this guy and shot him point blank over 10 times in cold blood because he was coming to the aid of a woman that they were harassing. It's very sad, especially happening now. It's during Ramadan. Passover is about to begin. I'm sure there are going to be, extremist Jews trying to get into Al-Aqsa to pray or to do things during Passover. That always causes issues. That always causes problems. You think they wouldn't do that, especially with everything that's going on in Israel, and say, okay, let's not do this right now. But no, they want to do that. It provokes Palestinians. And then whenever anything happens, of course, they just want to call the Palestinians terrorists, like they're doing to this 26-year-old. And now he's, not only did he lose his life, but he's being labeled a terrorist, even though Israel has zero proof that that was the case. But that is kind of like what they do, don't they? They label all Palestinians terrorists no matter what, and they back up their Israeli settler terrorists when they are committing crimes against Palestinians, and it's very sad and horrible, and it sucks. I don't want to talk only about Israel. I don't want to talk only about Palestinians in my life. I was checking out my social media and I'm like, it's a lot about that. I have a lot of interests, a lot of things I care for, but it's just so crazy what the Palestinian people go through on a daily basis. And I feel it's my responsibility as a Jewish person to share that with the world and let other Palestinians and other Muslims know that Jewish people don't support Israel blindly. And many Jews are upset with the flagrant human rights violations that Israel commits, and we hope that one day there will be a free Palestine. I just want to say that while I do think that, Israel has committed a lot of atrocities, I think that there is a problem that the Palestinian people don't have really good leadership too. And, I'll continue to call out Israelis, but I hope that I will see more Palestinians calling out their leadership in an effort to try to get better leaders, because I feel like that's what the Palestinian people need. And I understand that there might be some better leaders out there, and the reason why, they're not helping the Palestinian people is because they are in administrative detention in Israel. But I see so much content with people calling out Israel, which I do as well. But I don't see nearly any content from Palestinian people, from Muslims, from Arabs, calling out the lack of leadership and the lack of concern and care for the Palestinian people. I feel like Palestinian leadership wants to keep the people hating on Israel so much that that's what they do. And instead of lifting them up and taking them out of some of the horrible conditions that they are and attempting to make their lives better, they'd rather keep it the status quo. So there's all this anger and hatred towards Israel, and that's not helpful, and that's not constructive either. And I really hope that one day there could be peace in the Middle East, because as I've spoken about many times before, we're cousins. we shouldn't be fighting. We should be joining together because we would be stronger together. And there are other forces that want us at each other's necks. They want us fighting because they know that together we'll be stronger, but keeping us separated, keeping us divided weakens us. And that's what they're doing. And we got to put an end to that. We got to find a way to get past the hatred and find a way to move forward so we can have a better future for the younger generations and they don't have to live in fear of losing their lives or live under an occupation or live not having the childhoods that they should because of what's been going on and this fighting that's been happening for way too long. And again, of course, I'm going to continue to call out Israel, but to put 100% of the blame on Israel just isn't right. And Palestinian leadership needs to take some responsibility, and they do need to step up for the lives of the Palestinian people. Well, if you're not following me across social media, please do, at Jonathan Randall. I'm Jonathan Randall. How you like me now?